Hello everybody, hope you're having a wonderful day, and this is lesson number 44 in our dive into the wonderful world of music theory. And today we are going to be talking about, as you would probably surmise, so sorry, ties and slurs. So I'm sure with the amount of music that we've been doing, you've come across these sort of lines which go over two notes like this, sort of curved lines which go over two notes. Today I want to break down exactly what they are. There are two types, and those are ties, and one is ties and one is slurs. And they mean two different things, though they are similar. So first let's talk about ties. So for this I'm going to draw a staff. Now I draw it relatively neatly, so it might take some time. So you have to excuse me for that. Great. So if I have two notes, they can be any two notes. They can be a half note and a quarter note. They can be a whole note and a 16th note. Any two notes of the same pitch. For our purposes today, I use a half. Any two. It can be the same note. It doesn't matter which notes it are, as long as they're the same pitch, right? Either on the same space, on the same line, whatever, right? And the exact same pitch. So not like F, E, and E. No, they have to be the exact same pitch, either on the same space or on the same line. When you put a sort of circular thing over it like this, or more accurately depicted here like that, this is known as a tie. And what this tells you is, do not play a stop in between these notes. Do not take a pause. And in other words, hold the pitch, whichever pitch it is, for the duration of both notes. So if I've got, imagine this was a C, this is C. This is the pitch. Imagine this is a treble clef, right? Over here I've got the pitch of C. So instead of holding C for one quarter note, then for one count here and then one count here, in a 4/4 time signature. So instead of holding one count, I'm going to hold C for two counts uninterrupted, for the duration of both of these uninterrupted. So once again, let's try to think about what that means. So if I've got a quarter note here and a quarter note here in a 4/4 time signature, right? Quarter note. The way I would play this is I would give each one count. So it'd be 1 and 2 and if there was no tie. But now I put this circular line in between them. And now I'm going to hold that. This what this means is I'm not going to stop in between these notes. In other words, I'm going to hold that C for the value of these two quarter notes. For the value of these two quarter notes. And so that's going to be instead of doing one count and another count, I'm just going to hold C for two counts. So 1 and 2 and so when there's no tie, I would read this as 1 and 2 and, because there's two quarter notes. But when I put a tie, I don't stop in between them, and I play it for the full value of those two quarter notes, which is two counts. So one count plus one count is equal to two counts. So I play it as 1 and 2 and. Similarly, if it's in a 4/4 time signature and I've tied a quarter note to a half note, instead of playing it as 1 and 2 and 3 and like that, 1 and 2 and 3 and, I'm just going to hold it for all three counts. So for the value of this quarter note plus the value of that half note, right? Or you can think of it as I'm not stopping in between them, and that's going to be 1 and 2 and 3 and. So I hold it for the value of both the notes. Or you can think of it as, how when I'm stopping in between the 1 and 2 and I'm not stopping this time, I'm just letting it flow. That's 1 and 2 and. So hopefully that's clear. Let me do one more example, then it'll probably become more clear. And remember, this is only applicable for um, notes of the same pitch, for obvious reasons. So if I've got a quarter note, let's say tied to a 16th note, what this means is I'm going to hold that, imagine this is treble clef, I'm going to hold that D for the duration of a quarter note and a 16th note, quarter note plus 16th note. I'm not going to play quarter note then 16th note. No, I'm going to play that D for the duration of a quarter note plus 16th note, the entire thing. Or you can think of it as, instead of playing one one e and one e and two, and one e and one e and two e, and instead of doing I am, and I'm not putting that stop in between. I'm just playing it one e and two. That's it. One e and two, like that, right? So I'm holding it for the full duration of a quarter note plus the 16th note. That's what time means. Okay. Let me do one more example just so I'm clear. Let me do a full proper example. Let me write a full piece of music so it's clearer. Because I know whenever you introduce new concepts, it can be slightly confusing. So this is treble clef 4/4 E signature C major. I did a proper piece of music here. Maybe I write. Now I want you to try to clap this out by yourself. Forget about the pitches. Try to clap out the rhythm, right? And pause the video and try it. Remember, time means I'm gonna hold this for the value of one quarter note plus another quarter note. I'm gonna hold this for the value of a half note and an eighth note together. Okay? I'm not gonna stop in between. Alright, I'm gonna try to play this. I'm gonna play it, okay? So hopefully this will give you better understanding. So remember, I'm going to play this for, I'm going to hold that C for 2 counts because it's quarter notes plus 1 count and a 4/4 time signature, and a quarter notes for 1 count, so 1 plus 1 is 2. And I'm going to hold this for 2.5 counts because 2 plus half is equal to 2.5. So let's try. It's going to be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, oh sorry, I seem to have forgot to, yes, sorry about that. Once again, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, so I'm holding this for 1 and 2 and 3 because this is the duration of a half note and this is the duration of a eighth note, so I have to hold it for the entire I have to hold it for the entire count. All these counts. Anyway, that's what a time means. So I think that's self-explanatory now. I think you must have got it by now. If you haven't, I encourage you to pause the video, rewind, and rewatch this just to get a better understanding. So I'm holding that sound for the value of both notes without uninterrupted. That's a tie. And remember, ties can only occur between two notes of the same pitch. Whether it be on a line or a space, whatever, they have to be of the same pitch. So when I draw a line, when I draw a circular line between two notes of the same pitch, is called a tie. And when I draw that circular line between two notes which are not of the same pitch, and it's a slur. Now let's take into slurs. So slurs. So let me draw a staff here. Let me whip up a staff here once. So if I, let's say I have this and this line here, what this means is that I play these notes without any stopping, without interrupting. And now let's see what that means. So normally when I'm playing notes, right, there's a gap in between each note. So forget about that example. I'll just play another one on the piano for now. There's a gap between each note. For example, there's a gap between each note, and there's a small gap to small gap. So you can, it's very small, but then it is present, and that's how you normally play music, with small gaps. You take a gap each time. Now with a slur, you eliminate that gap completely. With the slur, that gap no longer exists, and you play it connected completely. So you don't, there's no gap in between notes. So that sounds like this. Once again. So there's no gap in between notes whatsoever. So once again, without a slur, it's like this. So there's a gap in between notes. With the slur, there's going to be no gap in between the notes. I'm not going to stop. There's going to be zero silence. It's just going to be completely connected, and it's going to be like this. Once again, that's how it works. So there's no gap in between the notes, and you can have a slur on multiple notes. For example, let's say I can have a slur on all of these. What that means is that I'm playing all these notes. Imagine this is a treble clef. That means I'm playing all of these notes without any gaps in between them. So it sounds like this. So without the slur, it would sound like this. With slur, it sounds like this. So there's no gap in between the notes. Now with piano, it's not that big difference, but with a wind instrument, for example, the French horn, which is my instrument, is a very big difference. So with the French horn, you're stopping after each note and you're changing your fingerings in between. But when you play with the slur, you just change your fingerings and you keep on blowing. So you're like you keep on blowing, 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 and you're just changing your fingerings when you're playing with the slur. Anyways, that's just and a slur cannot. And think about why a tie cannot happen. Think about why slur cannot happen when you have two notes of the same pitch. Why? Because when you if there's no gap in between two notes of the same pitch, it's just going to be one big sound, and that's exactly what a tie is. So you can think about a tie being a slur between two notes which have the same pitch. But regardless, you don't need to over confuse yourself. It's quite simple. If two notes have the same pitch and you draw a line like this, it's called a tie. If two notes have different pitches and you draw the thing, it's called a slur. Okay. In a tie, you play that sound for the entire value of both notes combined, whereas in a slur, you play those two notes, those two pitches without any gap in between them, right? And one final note before I end the video is that ties and slurs can occur across bars. So I can have this, a tie that's occurring across bars. That means I'm not going to stop and I'm going to continue playing it for that full value of this, even though there's a bar in the middle. I'm not going to stop. So yeah, and slurs can also occur across bars. I think that goes without saying now. So yeah, point being, time means you hold it for the full value of both all notes involved. It's not only both. You can have as long as the same pitch. You can have an unlimited number of notes under a tie. And slur means you play however many notes without any gap in between them. You're not stopping each time. Without a slur, remember you do stop each time. That being said, that's all I really wanted to cover. So yeah. Thank you very much for paying attention. Thank you for being. I hope you learned something valuable from this lesson. I hope you're able to take something away from it. Hope you found it relatively enjoyable. With that being said, I'm wishing you a wonderful rest of your day. And I'll see you later. Bye.